And we are live. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here with us today. This is the Teacher for a Day project. We have been doing it since 2018, and we invite our students to be a teacher for one day. They choose the topic, they choose something they like, and they teach us a class. And all they have to do is teach it in English. So they can share their knowledge, share what they know, and also practice their English. And today we have here Pedro. Pedro is graduating. He's an advanced 4 student in India. His teacher is Ellen, and he's gonna talk to us today about some different animals. Pedro, could you introduce yourself, say something about you, what you like?
Gladly. My name is Pedro, and I'm a really big fan of zoology. I really enjoy talking and learning more about animals. And today, it's since it's my last class, I want to show some interesting animals that I have found through research. That's my point. I want everyone to learn how nature can be beautiful and weird at the same time.
That's awesome. So let's start, Pedro.
Okay.
Guys, if you have any questions, leave your questions on the chat box. We are gonna follow here. All right?
Okay. So as I said before, I am going to talk about some weird animals. These animals can both be just plain out weird, or they can help science in some way. And we'll start with a famous one. Not because it is famous, because it's the symbol of Australia, platypus. The platypus is not an endangered species. He has a lot of specimens in the wild. He is, as I said before, this symbol of Australia. And a really interesting thing about him is he's a monodromata. He's a mammal that lays eggs. He is one of the 2 species that can do this. So he lays eggs, the eggs hatch, and he also secretes milk from his mammals. So he's a monotremata. The first time they saw one, they thought it was a hoax. They thought someone just teach a bunch of animals together to make some fake animal. Because as you can see, he has some duck beak and a beaver body. Platypus means flat-footed because obviously he has a flat foot, and his Portuguese name ornitorrinco means bird snout. Under their front legs, males have venom. The females have the same thing to make venom, but they don't produce the venom. The main reason they have a snout is because they have some electrolocation to find prey, like worms, larvae, shrimp, and crayfish. So they just dig their bird snout on the ground, and they can sense where are the preys. I'm going to put now a small video about some platypus swimming. This is an adult platypus. The other one was 2 little babies. And you can see that it really looks like a fake animal. It has even the beaver tail. They are aquatic and they live on rivers. These are some platypus in an Australian aquarium. Okay, next animal, the giant Japanese salamander. This one is also not endangered, even though there aren't many species. The amount of species there is aren't worrying. It's normal to have so few. They can grow up to 160 centimeters, which is really giant. They are the second largest amphibian. They only lose to the Chinese giant salamander, which isn't as documented as the Japanese one. It can only live in streams of clean and cold water. So one of the reasons their population is decreasing is because of pollution. Uh, it's obviously aquatic and it's a nocturnal animal. You can see there in his eyes that it's not really well developed. So he has poor eyesight, but to compensate, has some sensory cells that he can detect vibrations in the environment, right near his head, the back of his head. And it eats things like frogs, insects, and fish. This is a video of a giant Japanese salamander emerging from a river to see how big he is. You can see the normal habitat of a Japanese salamander. Let me skip around. Oops. Around a bit. Here. And then some bystanders saw one while cycling. This is how big they can get, including the tail. And that was it. Okay. This is the pangolin. What's interesting about the pangolin, other than the fact that he is an uncommon animal, is that he is the only scaly mammal. So he is a mammal that have scales. The only one in the, not in the entire history, but the only one alive right now. That's most of it. He's like nocturnal. He eats ants and termites, so he's like an anteater, and he can roll up into a ball, just like Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, he can do that. He can roll up into a ball. Next one, the Echidna. Speaking of Sonic, Knuckles is a friend of Sonic, and he's also an echidna. So echidnas, they look more like anteaters and hedgehog. They have spikes all over their body and fur, and they are the other monotremata animal. They are the other animals that can also lay eggs, just like platypus. Okay, so they can also eat ants and termites. They're solitary, meaning they don't build huge societies. They normally just live alone or a really small pack. Their snouts work both as a mouth and as a nose. They also have the electroceptors, but 20 times less than the platypus, who has 40,000 electroceptors. And the short-beaked version, the one that's showing the picture, has 100 times less. They use those claws to dig, and as you can see, their body is covered in spike. Now a small video to show an echidna in real life. As you can see, this echidna is digging around and then putting its snout underground to find some ants or other small bugs to eat. The next one is a funny one. It's the Atretocoana acelti, also known as penis snake, manaconda, and floppy snake. First things first, this is not a snake. This is a tetrapod. It's of the Typhlonectidae family. It's kind of like the equivalent of an eel. It's not so calling it a snake. It's wrong. It's mostly seen around the north of Brazil. But yeah, I think you can see why this is no weird animal. It's not really common to see, and it's the largest tetrapod without any lungs. And another fun fact: tetrapod means that have 4 foot. You can see that she doesn't have any feet. So why is she a tetrapod? Because she's a descendant of a tetrapod. So in the biological scale, she is a tetrapod. The next one is the proboscis monkey. Also can speak for itself. So I don't again I don't have to say why he's a weird animal, but it's interesting the reason for that nose. So first things first, this nose only males have. Females also have a long nose, but really shorter than the male. The male, you can see that the nose surpasses the mouth. Scientists believe this nose is to reproduction, so the female can choose one of the males. It's believed because of the vocalization. If you have a bigger nose, you can vocalize better. And it is an endangered animal. That means it's not going to enter an extinction unless something is done about it. The next one is a cute one. It's a Honduran white bat. It is one of the few species of white bats. Uh, as you can see here and on the video I'll show you later, he can build tents using leaves by biting them with their tiny little teeth. It can only eat a certain species of fig, and the reason both their ears and their nose are kind of orange is because they deposit carotenoids as a substance that it lives on the, for example, carrots. And this same deposit is being researched to understand and treat macular degeneration. So again, a weird but good animal. And here's a video of some cute white Honduran bats. Oh. They built a little tent to stay safe until the night, that is when they go out to hunting the fig they eat. This is their normal size. This is not a small one. This is an adult one. That's not juvenile. They're really small, and he is one of the, if not the, cutest bat of all. Next one is funny. The red-lipped batfish. That's not that much interesting about them, other than the fact that they are using a lipstick. They are not good swimmers, so they just kind of walk on the ocean floor. They are piscivore, meaning they eat fish, and invertivore, meaning that they eat invertebrates like shrimp or crustaceans. The next one, it's also pretty well known, but still funny. The narwhal. One misconception people have about the narwhal is that that is a tusk. That is not a tusk. That is their canine teeth that grows really big and make a helix form protruding forward to make what we call a tusk. You can see that it's really close to the mouth. Yeah, it's one of his teeth. So the narwhal is a cousin to the beluga. The males are only the males have some the tusk. The females don't have one. Sometimes they do, but those are exceptions. And scientists are not sure what the tusk is for. They think It is because they thought at first because it's because to fight because they always saw two males hitting the horns on each other. But then they discovered that they were actually communicating using the horns because all the horns have nerves through it, so they can feel really well what's in the horn. And one of their biggest cause of deaths is that they get stuck on ice. The next one is it's not really it is weird, but not for a weird reason. It just looks weird. It's a mix between a deer and a giraffe. They didn't actually crossbred, but it really does looks like it. And there's not much to talk about it, only that only the males have horns. But as you can see, it looks like a tiny giraffe. Now the video I'm going to show right now, many people don't want to see it, but I'm going to show a baby gharial being born. So if you don't want to see that, close your eyes, and I'll say when you can look again. Okay? Okay. So here is the birth of a gharial. Sorry, let's skip around a little bit. Uh, it takes a long time till it's born. Here. You see, on the wild, if an animal is born and can't take their first steps, the mother will just leave him there because he is inept. But if he can take their first steps, they will just follow their mother and survive. So this is a beautiful scene of a baby taking their first steps with their weirdly long legs. Oh, he can do it. There you go. He's still learning, but now he's able to walk. You see, he's happy, his tail's wagging and all. Okay, the next one is just plain out weird. An orchid mantis. Uh, the plant-like appearance of it is actually a camouflage aesthetic, and not because he wants to hide off the predators. That's normal, but mainly because he wants to kill. Mantis like to kill. That's something you need to learn. Okay, so males can be less than half the size of a female. They use this camouflage to ambush prey that like to pollinize, like butterflies. Yes, they can kill a butterfly, and they are really small. And something interesting is that they can change their colors between pink and brown. This is a video that. Okay, I removed the video. Sorry. Okay, so the gharial. The gharial is another funny animal. You can see why. He's an alligator that has evolved to eat fish. He is critically endangered, meaning he's almost in extinction, because people kill him, the people pollute the lakes they're in, so the fish go away. So most of them are dying of starvation, but there's still some in the world, and I really hope they don't die because I love their silly faces. That's pretty much it. That's the reason they have this weird snout. The second one is just Carrie. It's a giant oarfish. The giant oarfish. Many believe that this is the so-called sea serpent that the old travelers talked so much about. But it's not known if they were just creating facts or they just mistaken a giant oarfish or some other animal by a monster. Okay, so the giant oarfish is the longest bony fish in the world because fish separate between bony and cartilaginous. This is a bony fish and the biggest in existence. And the record length is of about 8 meters. 8 meters of pure fish. Some Navy people caught it and they needed 14 of them to hold the entire 80-meter fish. Here's a video of they finding one in Mexico. Okay, so they, as I said on the video, they live on really deep water. So the reason why they come to shallow waters, it's unknown. No one knows why, because we barely know anything about our ocean. The next one is cute. The pygmy jerboa. So, the pygmy jerboa is one of the smallest mammals in the world. There isn't much interesting. It's just that he's really small and really cute. He looks like Pikachu from Pokemon. Here's a video of one. He's really light as well. He's a rat. He's a parent of a rat. That's why the unusual movement. But yeah, he's really small, really cute. And the next one is okay, might be the favorite one of this list. My favorite one. The Glotticus atlanticus. It's really beautiful. Look at this. So it is a slug. It looks like a dragon puppy, but it is a slug. It's really beautiful. This paint of blue, this shows how nature can be wonderful. Okay, so they eat venomous animals and store the venom on their spike. You can see here the spike coming out. So yeah, if you hold him, you're probably going to feel a lot of pain. I find them interesting because they're really really small. You can see it here, but they're really small. And they're really beautiful, and they don't swim. They kind of float around, eating whatever comes to near them. And yeah, it's really weird. Okay, I lied. This is my favorite of the list, the axolotl. And the main reason is because he's kind of Wolverine, but I'll get into that later. But he also has a really silly and cute face. So, starting off, he is an amphibian, a parent of the salamander. The funny thing about them is that they reach adulthood without undergoing metamorphosis. So, they start young and they grow. That's it. They never change their form to become more like a salamander. They just grow in size. Instead of lungs, like normal salamander, that they start on the ocean and then on the water, and then they grow out to start walking on land and such. They use gills to breathe underwater, and you can see the gills. This pink thing is its gills. He uses that to breathe. He has a lot of contact with the water, so he drains a lot of oxygen from those. And it's just my favorite. Look at him; he's really cute. That's why it's my profile picture. That's probably what you see. And sadly, they live in Mexico only, and they are critically endangered for many reasons. Because the seas are becoming polluted, people are killing it, and the reason they're killing it is because they have some really cool regenerative abilities. If you cut off his arm, another one can grow like in days. I- So people believe that if you eat one, a meat of an axolotl, you will attain really cool regenerative powers. So a lot of people in Mexico, principally in churches or cults, kill and eat their meat so they can also have their regenerative powers. Going away from this dark thing, I'm going to show a cute video of some axolotls. If it loads. You can adopt an axolotl, it's legal. I don't know in Brazil, but you can if you want to. It won't hurt the species because these domesticated ones are growing separate places than the wild. They are just captured, and actually having one, you can have put two together and they reproduce, so you can help grow the population again. So that's it. That's 25 kinda interesting animals that I researched and brought to everyone here. Thank you.
Very, very cool, Pedro. We have some questions for you here.
Okay, bring them in.
Yes, all right. I think this one you have already answered. Your favorite animals from the ones you've shown us.
Yeah, it's Axolotl. I really love him. He's really cute.
It is. It looks like a gecko. Do you know it?
Yeah,
But
it's
because it
it's
can regrow limbs and
yeah, it's a distant parent of one. He is actually
yeah,
closer to a salamander. You
yeah,
know the salamander. So yeah, he's a salamander that never grew out of the water.
cool. Another question here from Isabella. Would you like to visit Australia? She's heard they have some weird animals there.
Yeah, probably when I go to work, I work as a zoologist, so I have to go there. But even before that, I would love to go see Australia. I was planning a trip with my mother to Galapagos, but it didn't come through because of the
The
quarantine.
virus? Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, I really would love to go to Australia, see some platypus. I really like platypus as well.
nice. Now, why did you choose these animals, these specific ones?
Well, I was seeing a bunch of lists and searching about some weird animals, and these ones are the ones that caught my attention because one, they're special somehow. Like I don't know, the platypus being a mammal that puts eggs, the pangolin being a mammal that has scales. Other are just weird to know, like how the evolution came to this, like the penis snake. Can the evolution just come to something that's so weird?
Yes.
And the others I just find really is that people should know more, like the axolotl. He's not weird. He's kind of weird, but he's really
He's
cute
kind of weird. He
about
looks
him.
like a character, right? It doesn't look like an animal. It looks
Yeah,
like
he
a
looks like
character from a
a
cartoon.
animated character. Yeah,
Yeah,
I really think that people should just know more about those animals.
awesome. I'm glad we're getting to know more about these animals because I didn't know most of them. And this is an interesting question. If you could be one of these, which one would you be and why?
That's a hard question. Of all the list, I would love to be a platypus. Just
Why?
because he's the symbol of our entire country. You're
Oh,
just swimming around and people love you. That's like the dream. He just eats, swims, and people love him. He's the symbol of Australia. And yeah,
awesome.
I think the platypus would be it. I really would love to be one.
Awesome. Now, I want you to share with everybody the question I asked you before. I want you to say it again. Why do you like animals so much? Why did you decide to talk about animals?
It started here in Bill on my first class. I was talking about the episode Ocean, and I realized that I really liked the animals, the ocean mainly, but I really realized how like biology really was something that interested me. Before that, I thought I wanted to be an engineer, but I realized I don't like math that much. So I started going this path. So all of the other classes, I spoke a little bit about biology to see if that should my interest. And then I just figured out that yeah, I really love biology. I really love learning about animals. So plenty of videos about animals started appearing on my YouTube. So I just watched and then I realized I want to be a zoologist.
That's really cool, Pedro. So, do you want to study abroad? Where do you want to go to study zoology?
I'm still deciding this, but I would really like to go to the USA probably, or not necessarily some really good college outside of the country because in the country there isn't a zoology course. But surely when I grow up and choose a place to live, I would go to Canada without a doubt in my mind.
Nice. I have one last question for you. You told me before class that you have some pets at home. So, which pets do you have?
I have 4 cats and 2 dogs.
Cool. Would you like to have a weird pet, some strange animal at home?
Yeah, I would like to have either an axolotl or a turtle, but my mom won't let me have the turtle, so I think I could settle with the axolotl.
But can you have it as a pet? You can, right? As you said.
Yeah, you can. You put in an aquarium, just feed him some fish and stuff, and he could be domesticated. He's not poisonous. He doesn't bite or anything.
It's just cute, right?
Yeah, it's a cute little monster.
Cool. I don't think we have any more questions, but it seems that the audience really enjoyed getting to know more about these animals. Pedro, thank you very much. I hope you
Thank
also have the opportunity to come back as a former student to teach us more about animals because I think we're really having a great time. I hope you enjoyed this experience of being an online teacher as well.
If I have an opportunity, I surely will give another class. I really love them. It's really fun.
Awesome, Pedro. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us today.
Thank you,
We have
everybody.
another class today at 7:30. So come back if you want to know more about playing the guitar. All right. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.